you, welcome back to the deep dive. Really glad you're joining us.
Yeah, great to be diving in again.
If you're serious about really getting your English vocabulary ready for those postgraduate entrance exams, well, you're definitely in the right place.
Absolutely. This is where we go beyond just the list.
It is. So, hey, if you find this useful, hit that like button, maybe subscribe. That way you won't miss our future sessions.
Always helps.
Today, we're jumping into day 24, part 1 from your study materials. We're going to pull out those key words.
And not just, look up definitions. We want to really understand them.
Exactly. How they feel, how they're used, especially in the kind of text you'll see on the exam. It makes a huge difference for comprehension.
It really does. Understanding the nuance is key.
We'll be covering quite a range. Stuff related to civilization and urban life, words around scrutiny, champion, characteristics, consciousness, contact, and even how things attach or detach.
Sounds like a good mix. Ready to get started?
Let's do it. First up, words about civilization, cities, the countryside. Let's kick off with civil.
Okay, civil.
You've probably heard it used in, well, a couple of main ways, like this sentence. We have been actively exercising our civil rights. What does civil rights make you think of?
Rights you have just by being a citizen, I suppose. Like freedom of speech, the right to vote, things the state guarantees or should guarantee.
Exactly. It connects directly to your role as a citizen in a state. It's about the public sphere, not military or religious.
Right, your fundamental entitlements.
But then think about this one. The teachers were all perfectly civil to me. Different feel, right? What's civil doing here?
That's more about just being polite. Courteous, not necessarily friendly, but, correct and respectful in their behavior.
Perfect. Just basic politeness. And that first, meaning the citizen one, leads us straight to the noun citizen, right? Someone who legally belongs to a country.
Yep, a member of the state, all interconnected. You see how one core idea kind of branches out.
Definitely. Okay, staying in this area, let's look at civilize, or civilize, with a Z, the verb.
To civilize.
It generally means to bring something or someone out of what's seen as a less developed or educated state, to refine them.
Right, like educating or improving manners or societal structures.
Consider this example. Its hero avoids being civilized, going to school and learning to read. How does civilized feel in that sentence?
It's interesting, is it almost sounds like something the hero doesn't want. Like maybe being civilized means losing some kind of freedom or natural way of life.
Yeah, it raises questions about what civilized actually means, doesn't it? It's not always presented as purely positive.
True. It can imply conforming to certain norms that maybe the character rejects.
Now, contrast that with, such behavior is totally unacceptable in a civilized society. Here, a civilized society sounds quite different.
Yeah, here it definitely means a society with established rules, order, ethical standards, where people are expected to behave reasonably. It implies progress and order.
And from civilize, we naturally get the noun civilization, or civilization. Big concept.
Huge.
Like in this sentence. Yet science has a cultural history too, with roots going back to the dawn of civilization. What's civilization capturing here?
It's that whole sweep of human social development, isn't it? Culture, technology, government, art. How societies become complex. Like, you think of ancient Egypt as a civilization.
Right. And the sentence connects even science to this broader historical and cultural development. It didn't just appear out of nowhere.
Exactly. It grew within these civilizations.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly to where people live. Urban. Pretty straightforward. Relating to a city or town.
Yep. Cities.
We hear it constantly. Today, as urban population explodes globally, cities become more crowded. We see that happening.
We certainly do. Urban growth is a major global trend.
And the flip side, or rather the edge of the urban area, is the suburb. The definition is an outlying district of a city, especially a residential one.
Right, like where people live near the city, but maybe not right in the center.
Examples. They live in the suburbs, or, more specifically, he was born in a suburb of Shaanxi province. It paints a picture, doesn't it?
It does. Usually quieter, maybe more houses with yards. And the adjective suburban, it can just mean in the suburbs, but sometimes it implies something else too, right?
What do you mean?
Well, sometimes people use suburban to suggest something a bit conventional, maybe even a little dull, the stereotypical quiet life.
Ah, right, that figurative meaning. Good point. So let's head out further to rural, relating to the countryside, farms.
The opposite of urban, essentially.
Here's an example. There is no denying the limited land can no longer produce enough crops for an ever-increasing rural population. What does that suggest about rural life?
It highlights a key challenge. Resources, land, agriculture supporting the population. It's often tied to farming and nature.
And another simple one. He grew up in a predominantly rural area. Just gives you that sense of the countryside.
Yeah, fields, farms, maybe a smaller community feel.
Okay, one more in this city-country group. Metropolis.
Metropolis. Sounds big.
It is. A very large and busy city. Think big scale. Lots of activity. Like, he was dazzled by the high buildings of the metropolis.
Right. The scale is overwhelming, impressive.
Or New Orleans is the metropolis of the American South. What makes it a metropolis? Not just size, right?
No, it's usually a major center, too.
Yeah.
Important culturally, economically, maybe politically, a hub. And the adjective is just metropolitan.
Got it. Okay, switching gears completely now. Let's look at scrutiny, and a word that sounds a bit similar.
Okay, scrutiny.
Scrutiny means critical observation or examination, careful checking.
Right, looking at something really closely, often to find flaws or check its validity.
So if you hear, her argument doesn't really stand up to scrutiny, what's that telling you?
It means if you examine her points carefully, they fall apart. They aren't sound.
Exactly. And here's a very relevant example, especially for postgraduate studies. Manuscript will be flagged up for additional scrutiny by the journal's internal editors. And it goes on about reviewers.
Ah, the peer review process.
Yes. What's scrutiny doing there?
It's fundamental. That's the detailed examination by experts to make sure the research is good quality, accurate, and worth publishing. It's a quality control mechanism.
Makes sense. Now, careful with this next one. Screw.
Screw. Okay.
It looks a bit like scrutiny, maybe, if you squint, but totally different. It's, the metal fastener. A screw is stronger than a nail.
Right. Or the verb, the table legs are screwed to the floor. Fastening something with screws. Nothing to do with examination.
Exactly. Just a reminder that spelling similarities don't always mean related meanings in English. Context is everything.
Absolutely critical.
Okay, next group, around champion. We all know what a champion is, I think.
Yeah, the winner.
After 3 years, he became the champion. Or she is a former Olympic speeding champion.
Yeah.
Someone who's beaten everyone else.
Reach the absolute top in a competition often implies great skill and admiration.
Definitely. Now, related but different, campaign.
Campaign.
As a noun, it's like a series of actions intended to secure a particular objective, often political or social.
Right, an organized effort to achieve something.
Like this. Local people started a petition and letter-writing campaign to keep the hospital open. See the organized action.
Yep, a clear goal, coordinated steps. It can also be a verb to campaign for something.
Exactly. And here's one from an exam context. Its campaign to protect rural England struck terror into many local conservative parties. Shows its use in activism and politics.
Highlights the impact a campaign can have, the reactions it can provoke.
Okay, last one in this little set. Campus.
Campus, university grounds.
Pretty much. The grounds and buildings of a university or college, example. Otherwise, outside directors will follow the example of Miss Simmons, once again very popular on campus.
Right, on campus meaning within the university community or environment.
Or the statue stands on the campus of Princeton University, just the physical location.
The specific place where university life happens. Straightforward.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about words for UA characteristics or features. First up, trait.
Trait, T-R-A-I-T.
Yeah, it's a distinguishing quality or characteristic, typically one belonging to a person. Like, awareness of class is a typically British trait.
So it suggests something quite distinctive about a person or a group, a defining feature, almost. And you often hear traits of character, meaning personality features.
Exactly. Then there's character itself. This one has multiple meanings.
It does.
You can say, the minor characters in the novel provide a lot of the humor. What's character there?
That's a person in the story, the fictional individual.
Right. But you could also say, he reveals his true character to very few people. What about here?
Ah, that's about his personality, his moral nature, the core of who he is as a person. Different meaning entirely.
Totally. And from character, we get the adjective and noun characteristic, meaning a typical feature or quality.
Which is very similar to trait, really.
It is.
Yeah.
And then the verb characterize, to define something by its key features.
Okay, characterize.
Like, the city is characterized by tall, modern buildings in steel and glass.
So those buildings are a defining feature. They make the city recognizable in that way.
Yes. Or a more abstract one from an exam context. Since the days of Aristotle, a search for universal principles has characterized the scientific enterprise.
So that search is a fundamental defining aspect of what science is or does.
Precisely. Last one in this group, feature, can be a noun or a verb.
Feature, yeah, common word.
As a noun, a distinctive attribute or aspect, like such features are easily written into the software, or teamwork is a key feature of the training program.
So just an important part or quality of something can be tangible, like in software, or more abstract, like teamwork.
And as a verb, it means to have something as a prominent part.
Right. The film features.
Yeah.
Meaning it includes prominently.
Okay, deep breath. Next set, words related to conscious.
Conscious and conscience easy to mix up.
Very easy. Let's start with conscience. C-O-N-S-C-I-E-N-C-E. Your moral sense.
Right, that inner voice telling you right from wrong. Guilt, maybe.
Exactly. Like, he won't let it trouble his conscience, meaning he doesn't feel guilty about it.
Or perhaps he suppresses the guilt.
Could be. Or this is an issue of equality, opportunity, and national conscience, applying it more broadly.
Yeah, to the collective morality of a country. And the adjective conscientious means being very careful and principled, guided by that conscience.
Good connection. Okay, now conscious, C-O-N-S-C-I-O-U-S, usually means being aware.
Awake, aware of your surroundings and thoughts.
He was conscious that he was talking too much with the stranger. He realized it. He was aware of it.
Aware, noticing.
But check out this exam sentence. It's not explicitly conscious. It's the idea that I'm a coach and you're my team and we're in this together. How is conscious used here?
Here it seems to mean more like deliberate, intentional. Not just passively aware, but actively holding that thought or intention in mind, as opposed to subconscious.
Exactly. A deliberate awareness or mindset. And of course, consciousness is the noun, the state of being aware. The opposite being unconscious.
Right. Without awareness.
And then there's simply aware. Similar to conscious, but maybe simpler.
Often interchangeable, yeah. Aware focuses purely on having knowledge or perception.
They are less aware of the value of their money. They don't perceive its value well. Or she slipped away without him being aware of it. He didn't notice.
Simple perception or knowledge of a fact or situation.
Okay, nearly there. Let's look at intact and words that might look similar. First, contact.
Contact, connection.
Right. Can be physical, touching, eye contact, or communication. How can I contact her?
Yeah, making a connection either physically or through communication like email or phone.
Now, intact, I-N-T-A-C-T,
Right.
means not damaged in any way. Whole.
Undamaged, complete.
The bridge remains intact even after 30 years. Still standing, undamaged. Most of the house remains intact even after 200 years. Preserved?
It emphasizes wholeness and lack of damage over time or through some event.
Okay. And tangible. T-A-N-G-I-B-L-E.
Tangible, touchable.
Literally, yes. Perceptible by touch. But often used more broadly, like, the scheme must have tangible benefits for the unemployed. What kind of benefits?
Real ones. Concrete, measurable benefits.
Yeah.
Not just vague promises, things you can actually point to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Real, definite. Or the tension between them was almost tangible. You couldn't literally touch it, but...
But it was so real, so obvious, you could almost feel it in the air.
Yeah.
Clear and definite, even if not physical.
Great explanation. Okay, last group. Words about sticking, attaching, separating, detaching. First, attach.
Attach, to fix or fasten.
This, like I attach a copy of my notes, physically connecting it. But also, we attach great importance to good design. What's it mean there?
That's about assigning value or significance, connecting importance to the design.
Right. Two key meanings. An attachment is the noun, the thing attached, or the state of being attached.
Got it.
The opposite is detach.
To separate.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the panels had become detached from the main structure. It came off. Or detach the coupon and return it. Separate it.
Simple separation or removal.
Now, adhere. A-D-H-E-R-E.
Adhere. Sounds like stick.
It does. Meaning one, stick fast to a surface or substance. Like there was oil adhering to the bird's feathers. Sticking to them.
Physically stuck. Okay.
Meaning two, believe in and follow the practices of, like, the bank adheres to all rules regarding the opening and closing of accounts.
Ah, so sticking to rules or principles, following them closely.
Exactly. Sticking in a more figurative sense.
Okay, adhere. Got it.
Then cling. C-L-I-N-G.
Cling. Hold on tight.
Often, yes. I clung closely to my mother's arm, holding tightly, or her hair clung to her hot, damp skin. sticking closely.
Yeah, implies a strong, close hold or attachment, sometimes out of need or because something is wet or sticky.
Last one, coherent. Coherent.
Coherent. Logical. Makes sense.
Exactly. Of arguments, theories, or policies, logical and consistent, or of a person able to speak clearly and logically.
So ideas fitting together properly.
Right. If someone says, you're not being very coherent, what do they mean?
You're rambling, your points don't connect, it's hard to understand you. Jumbled.
Perfect. And the subjects of the curriculum form a coherent whole, meaning they fit together logically, consistently.
Makes sense as a complete program. And cohesive, the related adjective, emphasizes that sticking together, the unity.
Precisely. Wow. Okay. That brings us to the end of our deep dive into the vocabulary from Day 24, Part 1.
We covered a lot of ground there, from cities to scrutiny to consciousness.
We really did. And remember, everyone, the real power comes not just from knowing these words exist, but from, really getting how they work in different situations.
That's what helps you read complex texts and perform well in the exam. Understanding the nuances.
So try to actively use these words. Notice them when you read. Maybe try using them yourself. Make a conscious effort, you could say.
Definitely. Engage with them. Did anything particularly click for you during this discussion? Any aha moments?
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts or any questions you still have. Drop them in the comments below.
Please do. Keep up the great work with your studies. You're building a really valuable skill set.
Absolutely. And maybe something to think about until next time. Consider pairs like attach and adhere, or conscious and aware. How does noticing those subtle differences really sharpen your understanding when you read?
Yeah. What other word groups might have those kinds of crucial distinctions? Worth pondering.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
See you next time.